Hello, dear viewers. This is the time for the English News Bulletin here on Rwanda Television. We'll begin with the headlines. The Rwanda national football team Amavubi won the FIFA Series 2026 by defeating Estonia 2-0 in a Group A final. The Prime Minister, Dr. Justin Nsengiyumva, represented the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Kagame, at the inauguration ceremony of CAR's President, Faustin Archange Touadéra. My name is Olive, and it's always a pleasure to have you on board. Now let's kick off today's edition. The FIFA Series tournament held in Kigali has officially concluded this Monday, with Rwanda defeating Estonia 2-0, and Biramahire Abedi scored the first goal for Rwanda's national team, Amavubi, while the second goal was netted by Leroy Jacques Michels with a powerful shot that ended up in Estonia's goal. The President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, joined a large crowd of football fans who attended the final match at Amahoro Stadium. Rwanda's national team, Amavubi, reached the final after defeating Grenada 4-0 in the semi-finals, while Estonia beat Kenya. Kenya went on to secure the third place by defeating Grenada 3-0. The FIFA Series tournament is an international friendly competition organized by the FIFA. Now moving ahead, Rwanda has officially inaugurated the Kagarama FIFA Arena, marking a significant step in expanding the country's football infrastructure. The new facility is the first 10 modern pitches set to be built across the country in partnership with FIFA. William Evans has the details.
Attended by the Minister of Sports, Neri Mukanzaire, FIFA Secretary General, the President of FIRGOFA, and a representative from the French Embassy, the Kagarama FIFA Arena is designed to support both grassroots and elite football, giving young players access to quality training facilities, while strengthening Rwanda's ambitions to becoming a regional sports hub.
FIFA Arena mini pitch, which was inaugurated together with the kids. I think it's a fantastic project which gives the opportunity to young boys and girls to start playing football early and combine it with education. It's really the start of a journey as a child growing up, having the opportunity to get a first taste of football as part of your school environment, and also gives a tool for teachers to use football as part of the education process, but as well detect talents.
9 more pitches are planned across the country in Muhanga, Gisagara, Huye, Ngoma, Kayonza, Rubavu, Rulindo and Nyarugenge as part of the efforts to decentralize access to football infrastructure.
You've all mentioned how important it is to have these facilities. These projects we are talking about, impact is going to happen when the young kids that we are seeing seated there are really fully utilizing these opportunities. So as a ministry, as government of Rwanda, we are committed to continuously working with FIFA, with CECAFA, with our federation, to make sure that really when we speak of development of football in Rwanda, we can see it in action. We can see it on pitch. We can see it in the future of these young talents. But we have been discussing that it's time to not only look at the process or the progress, but to look at the impact and the results of what we are doing. So this will be our commitment here, and that's what I look forward as a commitment from each one, and especially the young people, is to make sure that the results are visible and that the future is really showing the fruits of all these investments that are happening.
Also unveiled is a new FIRGOFA accommodation facility, a foster complex that will host national teams, including the Amavubi men's, women's, and youth sides. According to the president of FIRGOFA, this will help teams save about 50 million Rwandan francs.
So this is saving a lot of cost in terms of money we have usually spent in organizing camps for national teams. Maybe on average, we can count of for every camp we are doing, we will save more than 50 million. So this is very important for our national teams. This building facility is not only for men, but it's also for women, for younger players, for our national teams. we can accommodate up to 82 people. So if you say it's like 2 national teams at the same time.
Team Rwanda!
Officials say the focus now shifts to completing the remaining facilities and ensuring they translate into real opportunities for young talent across Rwanda. William Evans, RwandaTV News.
Now moving ahead, the Prime Minister, Dr. Justin Nsengiyumva, represented the President of the Republic, His Excellency Paul Kagame, at the inauguration ceremony of President Faustin Archange Touadéra, who is set to lead the Central African Republic for a 3rd term, marking the beginning of the country's 7th republic. On December 25th of the last year, President Touadéra was re-elected with 76.15% of the vote. This Monday, he was sworn in for his 3rd term during a ceremony attended by several heads of state, including Brice Clotaire Oligui Nguema of Gabon and Azali Asmani of the Comoros, as well as various government officials. In his speech after taking the oath of office, President Touadéra emphasized that his new 7-year term will focus on nation building through 5 key pillars: economic development and infrastructure, investment in public services, fighting corruption, and ensuring lasting peace and security. He also expressed gratitude to security forces, including the Rwanda Defense Force, deployed under the United Nations peacekeeping missions MINUSCA, for their role in restoring peace in the country. In 2016, Faustin Archange Touadéra was first elected president of the Central African Republic, and he was re-elected in 2020. In 2023, a constitutional reform allowed him to run again for a new term. Rwanda and the Central African Republic maintain strong bilateral relations based on security, investment, economic cooperation, governance, and innovation for the benefit of the African continent. Now to more news. Rwanda is seeing a steady rise in school enrollment at different levels of education, with students now making up nearly 1/3 of the country's population, an encouraging sign for a nation aiming to build a knowledge-based economy. This was highlighted during the State of Education Conference, which brought together the Ministry of Education, government institutions, and development partners to assess the progress and challenges in the sector. We have details. The conference provided a comprehensive overview of education in Rwanda, showcasing key achievements and ongoing challenges. According to 2024-2025 data from the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda, dropout and non-completion rates in both primary and secondary education have declined considerably between the 2019-2020 and the 2023-2024 academic years. Education stakeholders attribute this progress to sustained policy interventions and improved school management practices. In the technical and vocational education and training sector, the number of institutions increased from 542 in 2023-2024 to 581 in 2024-2025. Enrollment has risen sharply from 15% to 40%, signaling a growing shift towards skills-based education aligned with labor market needs. Overall, student enrollment from early childhood education to university has surpassed 4.5 million, accounting for roughly 1/3 of the national population. The Minister of Education, Joseph Nsengimana, explains that these figures provide a strong foundation for building a sustainable knowledge-based economy.
This calls for stronger and more deliberate effort to build an education that is truly inclusive in practice, not just in principle. The data tells us that we have a clear story of the education picture. We are making progress, and in many areas, we are beginning to see the result of the work invested in those areas. Remedial learning is reducing repetition. Teacher training is improving instructional quality. School construction is addressing overcrowdedness. Nationwide initiative including English proficiency training for over 120,000 teachers are strengthening classroom delivery. But the road is still long. We must ensure that the early investment in these areas actually pays off by remaining the course. Our responsibility now is to scale what works and sustain it, because the next phase of our education transformation must be defined not only by access, but by the quality of the learning that actually takes place. This requires us to strengthen the use of data in decision-making at every level of the system. It requires accountability for results at all levels, and it requires a continued focus on quality in every classroom across the country. It also requires strong and sustained partnership across government, with district and schools, with development partners, and with the private sector at large. Education must remain a shared responsibility throughout.
The ministry also outlined key targets, including expanding electricity access to 88% of schools, providing clean water to 84%, and extending school feeding programs to 99% of learners. Despite this progress, challenges remain. The National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda shows that Gatsibo district has the highest dropout rate at 6%, while Gasabo district records one of the lowest at 2%. In terms of fields of study, 40% of students are enrolled in TVET programs, 33% in science disciplines, and only 1% in associate nursing, indicating areas that may require further policy attention. Tomorrow news, Rwanda has emerged among Africa's top performers in digital service delivery, according to a new report by the African Development Bank, alongside Mauritius and Egypt. Let's take a look at the report. Entrepreneurs who own technology companies say they are pleased to have introduced software applications to both the local and international markets, helping to simplify service delivery.
In terms of service automation and digitalization, we have been working with the Rwanda Utility Regulatory Agency, and we have digitalized more than 200 services. Apart from Rwanda Utility Regulatory Agency, we have also worked with the Ministry of Health, where we have automated the application of health facility application licenses. Apart from that, we have also assisted more than 7 out of 9 commercial banks in automating their payment systems, mainly mobile banking, internet banking, agency banking.
So our main work is actually export. So much of our services are exported to fellow African countries. We're now available, have done projects in over 15 African countries. So we mostly export services of artificial intelligence, especially in the areas of underlying infrastructure and foundational layers. So doing the data sets that are required to build these language models that if you speak Kinyarwanda, if you speak Swahili, if you speak any African languages, shouldn't be left out. The AI developments or the technological developments, you should be able to access services. And basically that's the bridge that we are trying to get, to sort of create by looking at the divide that exists and ensuring that everybody is able to access these services in the language they speak.
More than 400 services provided by 24 government institutions available at the Rwanda Development Board One-Stop Center are now accessed digitally. Among those who have benefited from this are traders. The African Development Bank's 2025 Public Service Delivery Index ranks Rwanda, Mauritius, and Egypt at the top in Africa for improving public service delivery through the use of technology. The Prime Minister, Dr. Justin Nsengiyumva, noted that technology is now widely used in government service delivery and in financial transactions.
Public services have been digitized through platforms such as Irembo, improving efficiency, transparency, and citizen access. Electronic transactions increasingly dominate retail payments, strengthening financial inclusion and formal economic participation. Today, 92% of adults in Rwanda have access to financial services, reflecting the steady growth of our fintech ecosystem. Through digital innovation, a farmer in a rural village can receive payments instantly. A young entrepreneur can access credit through a mobile device. A small business can connect to global markets from anywhere in the world.
Under the country's Development Acceleration Program, the second phase of the National Strategy for Transformation, it is planned that technology will increase by 35% between 2024 and 2029, and that all government services will be delivered digitally. Now moving ahead, infrastructure that facilitates investment in artificial intelligence technology was one of the key topics discussed by participants at the 4th East African Community Regional Conference on Science, Technology and Innovation. Participants highlighted some of the challenges that countries in the region still face in accessing this technology. Among these are inadequate infrastructure and the fact that curricula in some higher education institutions and universities in the region have not yet aligned with current global advancements in artificial intelligence, something that could significantly boost the region's economy. The Minister of ICT and Innovation, Paola Ingabire, stated that the conference is taking place at a time when Rwanda is actively embracing artificial intelligence in all aspects, as well as establishing strong policies that support investment by companies developing and deploying this technology both in Rwanda and across the region.
A shared digital infrastructure roadmap, an agreement on a phased plan for at least starting with 3 data centers, regional data centers, and a sovereign East Africa cloud platform governed under ESC data protection frameworks to keep East Africa data in East Africa and reduce compute costs for local researchers and innovators. The fourth, a harmonized ESC AI governance framework, and I think ISTCO had mentioned that as well, as we think about mandating and supporting ISTCO to develop and adopt a unified ESC AI policy framework by the end of this year that will cover algorithmic accountability, cross-border AI deployment standards, consumer protection, and a shared approach to AI in public service.
Moving ahead, the Rwanda Revenue Authority has signed a memorandum of understanding with Madagascar's General Directorate of Taxes to formalize partnership in taxation matters. Let's take a look at the details. The agreement formalizes a partnership that will see Rwanda share its technological expertise, including its electronic invoicing system, commonly known as the electronic billing machines, with Madagascar. The MOU was signed by the Rwanda Revenue Authority Commissioner General Ronald Niwenshuti and the Director General of Madagascar Tax Authority Edmond Rafaralei. The Rwanda Revenue Authority's Deputy Commissioner for Taxpayer Services and Communication, Jean-Paulin Ouitonze, points out that Madagascar is joining a growing number of countries, recognizing the value of Rwanda's homegrown EBM technology, which has proven effective in improving tax compliance and efficiency.
Well, many countries are interested. Already Kenya has taken the solution, Uganda has taken the solution, Zambia is in the process, Madagascar now, Chad, and we've got many interests. Of course, we are receiving around 20, 30 delegations coming to learn about EBM, because it's not just a game changer in terms of taxation, but also it's an innovative solution that even some developed countries have not achieved. So there are many interests, and of course we are demonstrating, we are showing them the impact we've realized so far in terms of revenue collection, in terms of efficiency in our operations. And it does not just limit us from maybe getting the invoice, but also bringing more effectiveness in other types of taxes as well.
The Director General of Madagascar's General Directorate of Taxes noted that the partnership marks an important step in modernizing their tax system and strengthening domestic revenue collection.
For Madagascar,
on Madagascar's side, we are confident that this technological system for tax collection will help ensure the security and reliability of data on transactions processed within the system, while also enabling us to anticipate and address potential challenges that may arise from its implementation. Honorable Commissioner General, your experience clearly shows that technology delivers real impact when it is supported by strong political will and sustained technical cooperation. By combining the efforts of Madagascar's General Directorate of Taxes, the Rwanda Revenue Authority, and the Kitty Global Software, we're embarking on a major transformation at the national level. I hope that this initiative will mark a new chapter in our partnership and become a success story in the use of technology for tax collection across our island. The agreement builds on Rwanda's expanding role as a regional leader in tax technology, following similar collaborations with countries such as Kenya and Uganda, while nearly 30 others have visited Rwanda to learn from its EBM system. Introduced in 2013, the EBM system has significantly improved transparency in Rwanda's tax collection, with more than 90% of businesses now using the technology. On local matters, the Ministry of Justice stated that the time has come for legal advisors in public institutions who do not properly oversee the implementation of government procurement contracts to be held accountable for their role in protecting the state from financial losses. And Gladys has the report.
The Minister of Justice and Attorney General Emmanuel Ugirasheuja noted that the progress made in preparing and monitoring contracts between the government and contractors is commendable compared to previous years. He noted that in court cases between 2020 and 2023, the government incurred losses amounting to about 1 billion Rwandan francs, representing 9.3% of the total value of cases filed against the state.
There were 227 cases. Out of the 227, 228, 201, the government won in the last 5 years. And then the government lost 7 cases. So that is equivalent to 9.3%. So that is, you would say, a good progress. But we are not yet there because we have to really make sure that the contracts are well managed so that we don't end up losing in courts in future whenever a dispute rises. And that's why we have these trainings for legal advisors all the way from the local government to specific entities, procuring entities, so that in future we have contracts that are well drafted but also well managed, because management is broader than having a good drafted contract. Well, it's a lot because 207 cases. It's quite a significant case, but let me compare it to what we lost, because we lost almost 1 billion in poor contract management. Not because the contract were poorly drafted, but it was because of the conduct during the life of that particular contract. So we do hope that we should save even more for the government so that the money goes to the right projects. But beyond that, also to ensure that as you are managing a contract, even though your job is to, as a legal advisor, is to advise on legal issues, but you can also advise on certain issues that later on can create disputes, such as renewal, the endless renewal of contracts, of projects which don't come to an end. And also whenever someone, I would say whenever a contractor fails to observe their obligations, there should be a possibility of them being fined, because most of it is provided for in the contracts.
During a one-day training that brought together legal advisors from government institutions and local authorities, participants explained the actions they will take to improve the preparation and management of contracts between contractors and the government. Some of the factors that have helped reduce government losses from lawsuits include the increase in legal expertise, driven by the establishment of the Institute of Legal Practice and Development, ELPD, as well as ongoing discussions and training on how to properly prepare and manage the implementation of contracts.
This marks the end of tonight's bulletin. Thank you so much, dear viewers, for staying with us. We wish you a productive week ahead. Good night.